Now I'm going to measure for the valley cuts, the tiles that lay up against the valley. I'm labeling this section LV number 2. The L means that I'm on the left side of the valley. Also, when I mark these tiles for cutting, I'll pull my measurements from the factory left edge of these tiles. I'm highlighting the line from which I'll measure on the right side lap, and I'll measure from there over to within a 1/4 inch of the center V of the valley. It's 14.5 inches, again, to within a 1/4 inch of the center V. And now I write the measurements down. I go to the next course line and I place my tape above the course line so that the lower edge of my tape gets in close to the center V of the flashing. This single placement of the tape gives me 2 lengths, the upper length of the tile below the course line and the lower length of the tile above the course line. I write them down and I work this way all the way to the top of the valley. Again, that LV label reminds me to measure from the factory left of the tiles. My measurements take me to the bend line, and then I'll add 1.5 inches to get the cut line. This is all just like the tiles that are laid against the hip, but in these valley cuts you'll need a little relief cut where the bend line runs into the nose downturn. I flatten this out a bit with my snips, and then I flatten it some more in the bender. I start my cut at right angles to the back flange, but then quickly twist the tile panels so that the cut line falls under the blade. Cutting these panels distorts them a bit because the blade tends to flatten out all the little bends that create the shapes in the tile panel. You can see that distortion here. My straight bend line now has a slight curve to it. I eyeball the center of the bend line, and then after doing a little flattening, I'm going to set up the half of that line between the mark and the relief cut in the nose to be in line with the jaws of the bender. Just like that. And just disregard the part of that line that curves away from the bender because it's been distorted by the cutting of the tile. After you bend this tile, if you check your measurements again, you'll see that the new bend line fits the measurements that you took earlier. You can see that the bend down is tapered. It's 1.5 inches in the nose and 3/4 inch at the back flange. This bend down prevents most of the water and debris that gets into the valley from passing under the tiles. Let's watch this whole cycle again on another panel. There's that relief cut. Flatten out the flange and the nose so that the cut will start and end easily. Now notice how the cutoff drops away here. I want to finish up the cut with one quick chop now, so that the weight of this off cut doesn't become a nuisance towards the end of the cut. It's helpful to keep the cut tiles stacked into the same order that they go on the roof.